As war comes to fruition, cryptos like Bitcoin and Cardano fall. The question, if you're a crypto holder, how do you navigate? What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Thank you for coming by. We're going to dig into some Bitcoin charts, also some Cardano charts, but there are some important things, obviously, we need to talk about to lay the groundwork. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are just like, Dan, charts don't matter in this situation. And I just want to say right off the bat, they really, really do. And they're extremely helpful. And we're going to use charts as a guide through this mess. And I want to, this is breaking, obviously, in the last hour to 2 hours. Russia opens war on Ukraine. There is a war going on. And before we even talk about crypto, before we talk about the charts, there's this whole article is here. I'll put a link in the description, but this just stands out to me. I highlighted it. Civilian casualties are expected to be high. This is legit war. There are people, as we sit here, I feel so blessed and grateful. I'm just sitting here safe. There are people living in extreme fear right now for their lives. And, you know, before we dive into the charts, I think it's just important to make sure to remember to pray for these people that are involved, that are caught in the middle of this. War is an evil thing. And I just want to put that at the forefront of this video as we kind of dive into the charts, right? Because life is way more than charts in crypto. And we say that a lot, but it is glaringly true and obvious when we see things like this happening across the world. And it's extremely unsettling to see. So let me jump into the video now and talk about this news and how it translates onto the charts, because we're crypto holders, right? So many people are investing in crypto, and these events we have to keep a close eye on as they affect the charts, as they affect our investments. This is the Volatility S&P 500 index. You see, this is a 6-hour chart. It's been kind of cruising on up since February 9th or so. And for context, I want to zoom out on the 6-hour, and this is what we're going to pivot into this discussion. This is big global news that's impacting market sentiment, whether it's crypto, just global markets in general, traditional markets. This is the COVID fear spike. Okay, so all the way back here, February to March, boom, there was that huge spike for COVID. And we're going to use that as a guide on these charts. So let's do this. Let's start here on Bitcoin on the weekly chart. Let's establish the fact that, putting aside this news for a minute, let's establish Bitcoin has consolidated from this December swing high, January 2021, on the weekly, has consolidated all the way down here on the slower moving momentum oscillator on this RSI. It has been massive consolidation. That's one, just from a strictly technical analysis perspective. So now here we are hanging out down here in this general vicinity on the RSI, on this momentum oscillator, and we have a global event that is stirring up a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear. And so we start exploring, well, what could downside look like now, right? We've already seen Bitcoin to the downside ever since the all-time high in November 2021. We've seen the downside, and just for context, price range wise, we're looking at, around 50%. And now we have this really big event that might drive markets lower. What could that look like? And so we do take data on the charts, and we take another global event, a little bit different, not so much, war, but it was a pandemic. And I want to zoom in on these charts, and let's start here. This is from March 12th, 2020. This is a big day on the Bitcoin charts. This is when WHO committee basically announced in the European region, now placing it at the center of this pandemic, and then it just goes on talking about confirmed cases. But this is basically when they announced that COVID was officially a pandemic. That's essentially what this is talking about. So, and I guess the announcement was the day before, which was March 11th. So this is what it looks like. That news, that event, this is what it looks like on the charts. There is March 12th. This is March 12th. Let me open up some indicators here. And I don't know why those indicators are not showing. There they are. So there's March 12th, right there. That huge drop on Bitcoin price. Price range wise, we're looking at a daily candle of 40% to the downside. So that's the event, you know, the pandemic being categorized. And this is basically Bitcoin reacting to it, a 40% dip. Now, if we dig further into this data and we look at this daily chart and we say, all right, where was Bitcoin on the RSI on the daily chart at that time? And you can see right before that drop off, right around here, 32 line on the RSI. Let's click that. So we have a horizontal line, and this was the Bitcoin move from that RSI point to this RSI point. This is the daily move all the way down to 14. And this was the swing low on the RSI before the turnaround. Now let's kind of just travel over to where we are right now with another global event. And we start to get a sense what is possible. And we can kind of measure these events and the sentiment reaction of these two events. So here we are. And this is interesting. If you look at where Bitcoin is right now as this is happening, Bitcoin is right around that area on the RSI where Bitcoin was back in 2020 as the news got released, and it plummeted 40% to this part on the RSI. So this gives us a window to measure a global event in the past versus a global event now that is truly triggering some fear in the markets. And I think it's going to be extremely important. This is a kind of a late video. It's 11:42 p.m. I think a big reaction might be tomorrow when traditional markets wake up and those open. Then we're going to see how this RSI reacts and how similar it might be. This exact space where Bitcoin fell 40% during the COVID swing low, how will Bitcoin interact with the same exact space on this RSI is going to be very telling to see. Now, if we take this data and we go back to the weekly chart, this is what's important, at least for me. When we're anticipating downside and we're measuring what kind of downside Bitcoin might see, this area, that COVID swing low, RSI low, and this other white line, this is the bear market low. So you see that RSI went even lower at the bear market capitulation. This entire area down here, really no matter what is going on in the world, what happens or what is happening on the zoomed in time frame, this area on the Bitcoin charts is an incredibly consistent area that marks the bottom for Bitcoin. And so the reason I'm bringing that up is at this very moment, we don't know how this event, this news event, is going to affect Bitcoin in the short term, but it is the short term, and markets will absorb it. And we're going to see what that absorption looks like here on the RSI. But what I can say is if it's a very volatile absorption, this area right down here is waiting. And if it's not, we're going to start getting eventually on this daily RSI some types of confirmations. Maybe the RSI on the daily only comes down to here. And then we get a pretty nice bounce all of a sudden after maybe a little bit more of a dip from when I'm doing this video. But we get a nice bounce all of a sudden. And then on this RSI, it's actually a higher low from the previous swing low that we had in the end of January. So we have to give it a little bit of time to play out on the short term. But this is what I'm watching on Bitcoin. I don't want to talk about any patterns or anything that is going on really on the charts. I really wanted to discuss where we are in the momentum of Bitcoin in relation to world events, in particular, Russia opening war on Ukraine. I want to bring up Cardano. This is Cardano on the weekly chart. Some interesting things happening there. Before I do, just some fundamental news I just want to acknowledge. This is BitTrue announcing today that they are making ADA a base currency. I think this is really a big event for Cardano, for the Cardano ecosystem and for the adoption of Cardano. And to kind of illustrate my point on why I think it's such a big deal is because on the opposite side of the spectrum the exchange industry, if you want to call it that, we have Gemini. And I tweeted at them not long ago, 8 days ago, February 15th. I just said, why are you ignoring requests to list ADA? And I went on, and this is what I wanted to talk about. In that tweet, I answered the question, and it's because the Gemini dollar is an Ethereum-based stablecoin. So Gemini is very much married to Ethereum. So instead of pivoting towards innovative and reliable technologies that compete with this, you pretend they don't exist. So that was my tweet to Gemini. So we have Gemini, and then we have Gemini doing that, and then we have Bitrue, an exchange, adding ADA as a base currency on Bitrue. And then in between these two exchanges, we have basically all the other exchanges. And Kraken has been pretty vocal about the fundamentals of Cardano and the potential that it has. So it's going to be extremely telling to see who is next in line in terms of exchanges in adding ADA as a base currency. This is the first of many, I truly, truly believe. And with that, the adoption for Cardano will come. I know on-chain metrics and transaction volume and the growth of Cardano right now is really bullish. It is just cruising along to the upside and price is down. And we see that in crypto. So I don't think that's something we need to be concerned about. I think price will most certainly catch up to all of this bullish stuff that is happening. And it's a perfect storm, really, if you're looking at this, because we have all these fundamental foundations being built for Cardano as price is down. So when price and crypto markets in general, because it's all cryptos that are down, when cryptos begin rising back to the upside, I think Cardano is going to be outperforming. So Cardano on the charts, as this is breaking, all this news is breaking, I wanted to talk about it. Cardano has already been in this oversold territory at levels where it's kind of marked bottoms, right? And actually, we can even take our horizontal line here and we can go all the way back. Let's go to the bear market low of 2018 and just put that there. Look at Cardano lower than that area. Cardano right now basically lower than it's ever been, almost in the vicinity of the COVID swing low, and here it is right here, but even a little lower. Cardano oversold, not under that oversold line on the RSI, but historically speaking, as oversold as it's ever been. And this is, in my view, marking a very big opportunity window for people looking to accumulate Cardano for the long term. So when we're looking at this chart, this is what it looks like for me. There it is on the weekly. It's just downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. There's a lot of fear. People are like, it's never going to turn around. But this is crypto and it can happen so fast. Even if this situation with Russia, what if it doesn't last long? What if markets turn around quicker than maybe some people might think, right? But we go to the daily either way and we look at this and we say, okay, we've hit officially now. This is the first video I think I'm doing where it's actually hit 80 cents and it's literally at 80 cents. It's going to be interesting to see if that holds with all of this news that's happening right now. I'm not too sure it's going to. I'm not too sure I'm going to be waking up tomorrow and Cardano is going to be above 80 cents. It may be. We will see. It will be very interesting to see. But if not, this is what we're watching. We also have the 50-cent target to the downside that we've also been talking about. So we have this range for Cardano as it's the most oversold it's ever been. This is the 80 to 50 cent range for Cardano. And it is, for me, and I think a lot of other people, an opportunity zone. And as markets continue to the downside, Cardano has a lot of potential to fall anywhere in this range. Maybe it hits the target of 50 cents quick. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it bounces off 80 cents for a little and then it kind of cruises on down, retests 80 cents as resistance. Maybe it takes some time to get to the 50 cent target. We have to watch what crypto markets do and traditional markets do. But this entire area right now for Cardano, I think is something to continue to be aware of, to continue planning and strategizing your approach to crypto and in particular ADA in this case, to figure out what you're comfortable with. I'm still trying to figure out, when we have news like this, I get a little bit, maybe not a bad idea to try trading a little bit. I do get those thoughts, and I'm not I over the years I do not trade a lot, everybody. That is not my thing. I think I always say if I'm going to be doing short-term trading, I probably wouldn't be doing very well at it. I'm long-term technical and analyst, and that approach is what has worked very well for me. So when we're looking short-term stuff and short-term trades, for me, it's extremely risky. And you can get stopped out of trades very quickly where you were like, wow, I didn't think that was going to happen. And that's what happens all the time with short-term mindsets. You think one thing is going to happen and it doesn't, and then boom. So my approach now is to look at this chart and to figure out and really watch closely how crypto moves to figure out if there's going to be a capitulation type of event. Because in that case, as we fall into this range, this accumulation range, in my view, I want to be ready for that. I want to be ready for that big, massive dip. And maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it happens early tomorrow morning. I don't know. But that's kind of what I'm watching on the Cardano charts. Either way, you got to really sit back and strategize and figure out what you want to do and how you want to handle it. If it's just charts, right? If it's just this that we're looking at, that's one thing. But when you start interjecting news like this and war going on at the same exact time, Cardano is hitting these targets and falling into these ranges, it gets a little bit more difficult to figure out what you want to do. At least that's me. Those are my thoughts. But this is what I'm watching in crypto. At the end of the day, let's see how markets react to all of this. We see what Bitcoin has done in the momentum oscillators. We see the technical targets for Cardano. This really truly is, charts are a roadmap, even when there's chaos. And we see a perfect example of that in COVID situation and everything that happened with COVID. Not exactly sure what's going on with my charts, but everything that happened with COVID, it seemed so bleak. It seemed like it was just not going to turn around, and it actually turned around very quickly for Bitcoin. So let's monitor this situation closely. And I think above all, let's zoom out on the situation. Let's zoom out on life, and really truly think about and pray for the people that are involved in this mess. And we will have to track this very closely. So I pray that all of you are safe and blessed. I will see you all in the next video. Have an awesome night, and God bless.